ask a question real quick? What are you making, bro?
I know what the hell.
I can talk now.
You been able to talk. You just be cooking.
But no. I raised my hand like twice. You just be ignoring me. You're the only one in here with glasses on.
Doing all
You're the
kinds
only
of
one here with glasses.
Bro, nobody
It
knows.
doesn't matter.
What are you
I
cooking?
raised my hand like this. This is
I'm making
I'm making tacos and eggs.
Wait.
Everything with eggs. Everything you make is with eggs.
Tacos and eggs, like together?
Yeah. I'm putting the eggs inside of the tacos.
Eggs on everything. Make burgers, he makes eggs.
You're not making like
there's no cheese in sight.
Yeah, I'm making the meat and the eggs. Yeah.
What is it, like ground beef with
ground turkey?
Better.
Ground turkey.
Okay.
All right. I mean, it's not bad. Scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
So
of course.
Good and scrambled eggs.
Ish I've ever been a part of, ever.
All right. Is everybody ready?
I guess.
Of course.
Yes.
Oh Lord. Yes.
Oh my God, yo! Welcome to Family Reelz, people. We have been. What time is it, bro?
We out here. That's what I'm talking about. Man. Let's go.
We spent at least like 30 minutes just trying to get Jana to sit still. Then Mom kept moving. Oh my God, man! Just so much happening.
Trying to keep it together.
So much happening right now. So, all right, look, just a little background. This show stems from two things. One, obviously, me wanting to continue to talk about movies after that was, shot in the heart by my lovely wife. I'm kidding. If you're listening. But the second thing was me being extremely overwhelmed. I was doing like 3 podcasts essentially, and it was getting very hard to record, edit, put out, and everything like that. But I mean, between the other 2 podcasts, with the Avatar joint with Jana and the Brotherhood podcast with Malcolm, I still was having a great time talking to you guys, and I didn't want to give that up. And then I wanted to get my original co-host, my mother, back in this, and I figured we watch a lot of movies and we talk a lot of crap about movies. So
we do.
Why not bring us back to do the damn thing? So here we are. Jana named us Family Reelz, which I actually really think is dope.
Yes, I came up with that.
Yeah, good job, Jana. You did. You deserve it. You deserve a round.
It just came to me.
There you go. You deserve
it. Really did. She just like blurted it out.
We're in line for it out.
I mean, it's better because I still think the one I had which was Dysfunctional Family was pretty good. Huh?
Dude, no.
Yeah,
no.
I deserve that.
Do the thing. You know the thing I'm talking about. Do the sound. Do the sound.
It worked.
Do the Jana sound. No, it didn't. Do the Jana sound.
The Jana sound? Seriously?
Yeah, that's what it is. Because that one.
Point is,
I have a designated sound.
The Family Reelz is a lot better, and we also have a pretty dope logo. I don't know if you guys can see it there, but it's there, and it looks pretty good right there in the corner.
Oh, I do see it. It's in my corner.
Yeah, it's in your corner. I think you named it. I also
can't. It was in mine until I left.
Yeah, I was gonna say I also can't move it, so be in that top corner regardless.
Depends on when you get in there.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, guys. So we decided. I figured the premise of this podcast is we're gonna challenge each other to find movies. Challenge each other to find movies based on a very specific challenge. So since February was coming up and it's Valentine's month and all that other stuff, I know easily we could have done the Black History thing, but we could do it next time this rolls around. But I did think this would be a good one. So I thought, since I'm laying down this first challenge, was to do a romantic comedy with interracial leads. Because it's interesting.
Could fall into the Black History thing, kind of.
I mean, I guarantee the majority of them are going to be Black.
It's really interesting because I literally Google searched interracial movies, and a lot of things that I didn't even know came up. It's kind of awkward though, because I I think I can lean more towards Lifetime movies. They have more, or Hallmark movies. They have more
Yeah,
interracial couple movies than anything. So
that's a fact. That's a fact.
They're also bad.
Very. Yeah, they're
they're terrible.
horrible.
But come on now,
But
And Lifetime movies at least
fun
are
to watch.
entertaining though.
Lifetime movies are trash. But you know what channel has dope movies, especially around Christmas time?
Hallmark.
Hallmark.
But
Hallmark. Yeah, easy money.
yeah,
I take
yeah,
all
yeah.
day of the week. I don't even be liking Christmas movies, but some of those movies,
Nope.
yo,
Right?
what is
Be kind of fire.
like? These two people had heart transplants from former lovers. Now they're
Like
drawn
what?
to each other. I'd be
Now,
like,
Yeah, like
now they
what's
go to
up?
the country
What's
and
up?
bond.
yo, this is the
Yeah, they're always in the country somewhere.
but it's so good.
It is. It is.
All right.
I agree.
So since I laid down that challenge, I decided to take the first one, and the movie we are doing is Hitch, Woo. Starring Will Smith. Is it
The
Eva or
sound
Ava?
effect. The sound
Ava.
effect. It's
Ava. It's
unnecessary.
Ava because she's Hispanic. It's Ava.
It's Eva.
It's Eva.
Eva.
It's
Not
Ava.
Eva.
Eva.
Yes,
Eva.
makes more sense.
Eva Mendez.
It's
Eva.
Ava. They will pronounce it Ava.
Jana.
We're about to find out after the
Eva.
show. We're gonna
Look, I'm not gonna do
Ava
it.
Mendez.
Look,
Eva.
Really forever.
Eva.
first off, okay, it's Eva Mendez and Kevin James. This was a renaissance for Eva Mendez though, because around this time she was in like everything at some point.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, you couldn't go far without seeing her in something.
Yeah.
She was a Ghost Rider.
She was in Ghost Rider.
There's always especially with actresses, there's always like a little clump of time where they're just like bam, bam, bam. You just see that one person everywhere. I mean, with actors too, but with actresses more because actors can do anything.
Yeah, because it is weird because I kind of like it's like hip hop in a sense, right? Where it's like a female rapper can only be around at one given time before they move on to the next one, kind of deal.
Yeah.
But this was around her time. She was in this, like you said, Ghost Rider. She was in
It's Eva. I just looked it up.
Oh,
Okay.
see, there goes research guy came in.
Eva is the pronunciation. So now that we're on that, continue.
Thank you, pronunciation guy.
Thank you, grabber police.
Hey, it's okay. Try help out, baby.
Hey, you will take that. That's right.
She was gonna kill us all.
Where it travel.
But yeah, so this was Hitch, and Jonna, what is this movie about?
So this movie is basically about this guy. I would call him like a relationship, or not a relationship, like a dating kind of consultant or whatever. He helps people helps men find women and attract them and get them basically to fall in love. He talks about in the kind of the thing he talks about every man can sweep any woman off of her feet basically, and so he tries to get this financial advisor to meet up with this girl, which is one of his clients basically, and he pretty much has trouble because he's such a dork, he's such a geek, such a nerd, and stuff like that. And at the same time, Alex Hitch is
it's a stupid
pretty
name.
much he's dealing with his own love situation going on. So that's pretty much the story itself, so and how they figure out
boy meets girl is hardcore,
typical, but done in a different way.
All right, so in the words of my lovely wife, let's dive right in.
All right.
So I was like, I started this because the one thing I hate in movies is when the character narrates the movie they're in. I hate that. I don't like that. And it didn't help here either, because it really goes on that Deadpool line where he's breaking the fourth wall, but it's like also he's not breaking the wall.
He's not. He's not doing it.
To be honest, I like that. I honestly, if they didn't have that, probably would have made it as interesting.
That's true.
But I feel
presentation is kind of important.
But I think if you're going to do that, it can't be done at the same time he's also teaching the class in the same opening scene, because now it's like he's talking to
I
us.
see what you're saying. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. He's still talking to us and them and
but
us.
I like that. I like that. I like being talked to. Oh, well, this is happening.
I'm a little.
I don't think it's a bad concept. I don't think it's a bad concept. I think in this case, I think it was poorly executed. Is what I think.
Definitely, yeah.
Because I liked it didn't Jamie Foxx, did he do that in what's that one when he bites his hands?
Breaking all the no, he didn't.
No, he didn't. It was just it wasn't a narration. It was like more like I think they were like telling a story. Wasn't there wasn't there a book involved?
No, that's not in that movie at all. That's there's no narration. It's just
I didn't think so. It's just a book involved.
But it does I will say because it happens in Matilda, where it's only confusing in Matilda though because we don't know if he's telling this story as his character.
Right. We don't know if he's telling his dad or not.
No, he's obviously not because he's got some sympathy for the character, but his character is
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Then that makes no sense to have him doing the narration.
Right? No, I always thought that was weird.
DeVito.
but
he's in the movie.
That's what I'm saying because Will Smith comes in and he's like basic principles. Any guy, like you said, any guy can sweep any woman off their feet at any time. I'm here to give them the playbook. Just give me 3 days, such and such. And
here's my theory about this. So, what if this is something he takes notes for himself, like almost like a man diary, his own diary, basically, where he writes these things down. This is what's happening. This is what you do. He's writing his game plans down, and it's pretty much narrative from his own diary or his own book.
Yeah, but that would only make sense if he wasn't talking at the same time he was talking to us. It's like you're saying, like it's really weird. It's weird. It's a weird like gray area, right? Like
okay, think about it.
If he's making a journal, and these are the thoughts that he's writing down, then why is he telling us why he's presently talking about it at the same time?
Hold on, Johnny, because you were about to mention Forrest Gump.
I know he's talking to a lady on the bus stop.
But that's two different. That's why it's different. That's why he's not talking to a lady. He's talking to multiple people who keep coming to him. He's telling the story up until the point he's
still like us.
Yeah, so he's not talking to us. He's talking to them. So it's not like he's narrating the movie and then talking to us.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? He's not looking at the camera and being like, and then I ran fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe he's writing a book. Let's think outside the box here. Maybe he's writing a book and he's writing all this down as he's going along with what he does, basically, his job.
Here's the thing. That would make this a better movie, honestly, because if it turned out that he was writing this book about his story, then the end narration of him talking to us again
that would make more sense.
Even then, it would make more sense. But then it would like that narration where he's at the wedding saying the rules don't matter. He would be somewhere writing this book or turning in a book, you know what I mean? Saying, oh, the rules don't matter. We're like, okay, this was him telling the story of how he started off as this and moved on to this, and he still does this job, but now he does it differently. You know what I mean? Like,
but I'm just trying to use my imagination with it. Like, say that like it would fit, if that was the actual case.
Point. It's what it is when it's a narration, a lot of times it's because it's previous. This sounds like real-time narration, which is why
that's what I'm saying.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
it's a weird combo.
That's why I said it teeters on Deadpool territory because
Deadpool
like happening
right now.
He's talking to us, and that's part of his whole shtick.
True. That's what he does. That's what he does.
He does that. He gets the dog, and he's looking directly at us. He was like, "I'm here to provide opportunity." Blah blah blah. He's a master manipulator. Crap. But it's like. Then while this same narration is still going at this beginning part where we see him helping these 3 dudes out, he's in a classroom.
Yeah.
Like teaching presumably these guys. So he's talking to them while also talking to we're not on these dates, but he's coaching us. And
it's a little inconsistent. It's a little inconsistent, but
I just don't like it. I just don't like it at all.
Yeah, okay. I can see how
you would feel. It gives me weird ass vibes. I get it. It's weird. It just doesn't fit.
But he's basically telling the story, and then he tells us why he is the way he is. And I related to this. And if I may share a little story.
You're a little geek.
Always, like, have you not known me? Like, what are you talking about? But this is more specific. 7th grade, we were going to school in Decatur. I was in my science class. There was this girl who was also a geek, by the way. Her name was Jay Cherie. I'll never forget her. What happened was her friend and my friend ended up dating. So people thought it would be a good idea if we did, blah, blah, blah. You know how kids are, it's stupid stuff.
Yeah.
But I legitimately liked her. So one thing later, we're dating, right? In a matter of 2 days, because I remember I had those glasses that were broke and they had like the nail on it and all of that stuff. And I was wearing hand-me-down clothes and stuff like that. So somebody was like, ew, you could do better. Literally, I was right there when I heard somebody say that. She literally broke up with me the next day. And I had to try to play it off like I didn't care. But no, so I can understand how like this would happen.
Also, saying the same. I'm a nerd too. Like, I went to dances and got rejected in my face. The only time I got a dance, no, seriously, the only time I got a dance when Glenn helped me get one. I didn't ask for it because I didn't want to get off the wall or none of that stuff. I didn't want to get embarrassed because I've been embarrassed several times. But after girl,
the only thing I'm gonna say about that is there's a difference with you. You have always had this, and Mom knows this for sure.
Charisma.
A natural charisma. So I could believe that even if you were rejected, you were still cool. Like you were like,
I let it slide, but it still sucks.
You were like geek. People legitimately no, of course it sucks. But I would say like the reason why is like from the outside looking in, you were just cool. You were just like naturally cool all the time. People love being around you.
The worst thing with you, Malcolm, is I think you just ended up friend zoned a lot. You made new friends with girls, and maybe they were like,
and then they like my personality, nice. and nobody, and they're like, oh, you're too nice to be my person. Like, I hate that line.
That's funny because there is a part in here when he's talking about like the things that women will say, like, oh, I'm focusing on my career. Oh,
yeah.
You know, I'm not.
And that's a real thing. This stuff, like, when I think about like movies like this, like, yeah, it's a little exaggerated, but in reality, it's kind of not, because these are real things that happen. You know, there are people. Yeah, there are people that like in the movie. It shows how he pretty much like he was a geek and he got a girlfriend. She's really cute and stuff like that. But he walked up on his girlfriend in this dude's car, and she's pretty much cheating on him, right?
Okay, we gotta get
that's
so he's like,
Cressida.
And she's just like, oh, this isn't gonna work out, basically.
And that's cold as ice. I'm sorry, that is
cold
as ice.
But this is real stuff I've heard of happening in real life.
Of course it happens.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
that's cold. Like, that's cold. Like, she's
some hurtful
that's
stuff.
Cold blooded.
She's just like,
that's cold blooded.
Sorry, you're not though. You're not.
You're not sorry. You're not sorry at all. You're not sorry at all.
You got caught, or what's the deal?
Like, right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy.
But he also says that a lot of this was on him because he came on a little too strong and stuff like that, which is also true. It happens. You know what I mean?
You get so excited because, especially if you're not.
Share the story on that end of things, and I can share on that side of things, and that kind of thing where somebody coming on too strong, and it's like, whoa.
It can push somebody away.
Mom.
Start giving you creep vibes.
Are you talking about that? Are you talking about that dude that like tried to like talk to you on the cliff, and you were like too close to it?
That was a different situation.
That was Creepsville, yo.
No, but there's a dude like
I'm talking about No, we even talked about it yesterday. We told Jonna, because your dad was like, when he told me he loved me, and I told him, no, you don't.
It's true, and it can push somebody away, because you're like, you doing too much.
Yeah,
exactly.
But, and that's can someone tell me, are my like lips crooked? Because I noticed every time I record, my lips kind of like I don't know, man. Are my lips crooked? Like, do they wave?
Your face is crooked. Your face is crooked.
What the flip are you talking about?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Looks fine, honey.
Anyways, let's move on. Okay, so we find out that he is a master manipulator and an asshole.
Whoa,
wait. I think that's opinion. That's conjecture.
No, Hitch is an
What's
asshole.
the point? Well,
he developed
Hitch.
Yeah,
I mean, definitely a manipulator. I don't know about
Hitch is definitely a butt face.
Okay, so, but here's the question. Here's the question. We'll go.
Because
we'll go
he
around
was hurt.
Well, no. We'll go around the horn real quick. The question: would you consider? Because like he says, he creates opportunity. Is it creating opportunity, or is it really just manipulation? Because let's say the only one that looks like legitimate, like opportune, like a legit opportunity, is when Kevin James gets into this movie. The rest of them seem like this dude planted the fake dog. He had the fake get hit by a car. Like those things are different. It's not like he was just a guy who got her dog.
But does not the manipulation create the opportunity? Would this guy?
But couldn't that same opportunity have simply worked on the elevator? You get on the elevator too.
No. If you think about somebody doing that in real life, like the planting the dog in the situation kind of thing, you would probably call them a sociopath.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying, though. That is sociopathic behavior. It's crazy.
Dude, also, I believe that he's not being manipulative in what his goal is. He did say he wanted to create opportunities, right?
This is his job.
This is what he does, right? But also, it's literally manipulation. That's exactly what he's doing. He's not like, I feel like this love is based off false pretenses because off the rip.
Manipulating the situation.
No. Yeah, but it's based off but it's off false pretenses. So technically, he's not really helping.
But can I explain something real quick? I'm gonna defend this. I'm gonna defend this because if you think there's some good guys out there.
Tracy residing. Mercurial JP.
No, see, look, I gotta try and kind of find ways to kind of justify what's going on here. Now, in one way, it could be sociopathic, right? In another way, it's like he really is coaching these guys on how to be in a relationship. Because we all know there's a lot of guys that want to be in a relationship and have been in relationships but don't know how to because they really don't know how to socialize. He's teaching these guys how to socialize, how to look and listen to what's being said, and how to and to be caring in their response. And a lot of dudes do not know how to do that.
Hold on. Objection. Here, what you're saying is not wrong, but and the problem with that is Hitch isn't just giving, like, he's not teaching them how to be in relationships. He's teaching them how to essentially
get the girl,
trick a woman into seeing that they actually like you. Because remember, in one of the parts when he's like, "Oh, you got the suit I told you to go get. You got the shoes, right?" The guy was like, "Yeah, but it's not me." And he was like, "Well, not you is good." That's not a good thing.
That's not a good thing, right?
Good thing.
Self-esteem breaker.
Yeah,
he's manipulating based off that's the same thing like when you be like, "Oh, women like dudes who wear big chains and look a certain way and stuff like that."
Yeah.
So if you tell somebody to go do that, and it's not who they are, you are basically manipulating them into basically being put in a position they wouldn't be.
Yeah. Like, what if he goes out in his knickers and she's like, "Fuck, why wear your nice shoes?" And he's like, "These are more comfortable."
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Not the same guy.
If this dude wanted to go out and but he didn't have to wear a suit, but I'm sure he's got decent clothes to go on a first date. Like, men aren't that stupid. Like movies try to make.
Right.
I'm not gonna show up in my basketball shorts and be like,
"Hey, are you sure?"
You know what I mean? Like, I got.
I might show up in my sweats. Depending on the day. I ain't gonna lie to you.
That's you, bro.
Socks and a slippers. And then a hoodie. I'm not joking. At this moment, I am not trying to impress.
Joking, but
that is my first day with Kiana. I had to wear pants. I had to let her know I owned a pair.
See, but that's something you wouldn't normally do that you did to kind of impress her. That's not wrong.
No, point of contention. Kiana just said that I wore jean shorts, and I don't think I did.
You did.
I think you might have.
I think by the time I met her, I was out of my jean shorts phase.
You still wore jean shorts. I remember seeing you wear jean shorts.
I didn't have a lot of clothes, so it's very. I could have worn, but I don't think I wore them on our first date.
You might have, bro. It's a possibility.
With the nice shirt, I know what you wore.
With a nice shirt and a hoodie. With a hoodie, I was about to add probably a hoodie that looked dope. Probably
with a button-up shirt.
Those shorts. It sounds about right.
She's right. Okay, so we were supposed to go to the movies. I did wear some jean shorts. I did wear that purple shirt. I did wear a hat.
Oh
I
man,
knew it.
I know what
Okay,
shirt.
there you go.
Yeah. You know the purple shirt.
Yeah,
I like it. Still have it.
That shirt was fire.
The funny thing is, she stood me up. Anyway, back to Hitch. All right. So we get to this. We're now introducing characters. We introduce Eva Mendes' character. No, we're not introducing
Eva Mendes comes first.
We're doing Eva Mendes as Sarah Miles. And she is a very successful gossip columnist, which kind of predates like the TMZ stuff and things like that. You know what I mean? Like, being good is one thing.
But it was in print.
Like, it was all in print. Yeah, exactly. And this was 2005, so I don't really think people were reading it like that.
Well, I think they.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe a little bit.
Think about it. Cell phones weren't touchscreen then.
No.
Oh wait, they were. iPhone was out already.
Not yet. Not 2005.
It was 2003. I think that iPhone had touchscreen phones. Oh no, that was the iPod. That was the iPod. Never mind.
Not like that.
2003. Are you serious? No way.
The iPod Touch, yeah, because that was out. They had MP3 players that had the touch stuff too. So yeah, that's not hard to believe.
But the phone, not yet.
They were still using the flip in the movie, and it was like,
yeah, I was using a flip at that point.
This movie dated itself.
Everything about it.
Everything about
the way people socialized, everything.
Yo, this nigga.
They socialized.
This nigga's hair dated. People were taking cabs. They had to just assume you were gonna be there. Like, hey, I'll meet you. All right, I'll meet you there.
Yeah.
He shows up.
There wasn't no text message.
Couldn't be like, hey, I'm on my way, running a little late. None of that stuff.
Yeah, none of that.
Better times.
Funny.
Those are some dark ages, huh?
Did you just call them the dark ages?
She did.
She called them the dark ages. Like, can you imagine going back to not having your smartphone?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Going back?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't trip.
Well, we wouldn't be doing this.
I don't like talking to people anyway. What are you talking about?
No,
yeah, I've becoming more of a recluse as life.
But you use it for other stuff.
I'll be straight.
Whatever, you still consider the millennial. So.
I get it. All right. Anyways, we're introduced to Sarah Miles, and she's supposed to be on vacation, but she just got the hot scoop, so she had to come in. And I don't understand this. Like, I don't. Movies do this one of two ways, but they only do it with women. If they're single people, the woman is a workaholic. If they're married, the man is a workaholic.
Mm-hmm.
True.
It works. That's the only way it works.
That's true.
I
also said she was, I just put in my notes, she's the cliche, reporter.
Yeah. Well, just like Sex in the City. It's that one girl, Well,
yeah, but even more, but less, because at least they were about having relationships in Sex in the City. In spite of all that was part of it. In this case, she's like, I don't have, she don't have no love.
She's looking for the pet. She's looking for the petty.
But she's also actively like not seeking it either, and she's like, she kind of like, because we talk. It comes later in this this bar scene that's coming up, literally right after this. Is she really is just kind of like, oh, I don't really care about anything else or anybody else. I don't want to be with anyone because mean,
that's what I said. She's that quintessential, I'm about my own career and I don't have
dudes ain't worth nothing.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, because I don't know, look, I've never been a career woman, so I don't know how that is. But they also paint it like
keep living.
Like if you're like they also paint it like if you're a career woman, you're just gonna be lonely, and you're just okay with that because that's the way it works.
It's weird that was a reoccurring image in like movies and stuff of women who.
Like most things,
hold on,
as they say,
raise your hand.
Right.
Huh?
Get you guys buzzers, man.
Raise your hand.
Oh, okay. I'll do that. Because that's where they get these things from, and it's true. There's lots of women who have made a decision because they're like, I got to do this. I'm not going to start a family now because I want to do this first. And what happens is, this is the sad part, they get to a certain age, then the men don't want them because they want the younger women. And then they end up in this little place A lot of times.
I mean, it is. It's gross, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. So now they no longer, and so they have, and then if they're black and they live in certain places, their pickings are very minimal. Like, don't live in Atlanta. Your chances of staying single are pretty high.
Increased. But
for sure.
But the thing is but the thing I was pointing out is like the way the movies frame it is like some people make that choice and they are happy with it. They are fine. You know what I mean? They paint it like, oh, if you focus on your career, you're lonely and that's it. There's no about it.
They had a real reoccurring image of either you're with somebody and you be a certain way, or you're not with somebody and you're alone. And I think it was probably, I mean, it's a big projection of what men think of women. You know, women who work hard, or women who are too feisty and don't need to, and are going to be alone because they're choosy.
And I also think that it's a reflection of what married women think of single women. You know what I mean? I think a lot of times you'll get that where it's, don't you want a man to do this? And don't you? Bro,
right.
Pots.
It's a real reflection of the time. Kind of.
It is because I do think that it goes both ways. Like, it's how men look at single women. Oh, you need a man to make you happy, blah, blah, blah. But also the same way that it's like married women or women who are in happy relationships look at women who are single. Like, you really want to just waste your life being single? Like, there's somebody for you, or you know what I mean?
That's crazy. It's two different depictions of women in that era. Like the 90s, early 2000 era, or late 80s, early 2000s to that era or whatever, that you either had to be single, hardworking woman or housewife.
Yeah, pretty much. There were no in
betweens.
Yeah.
And then so we get to the opposite of that spectrum because we have Hitch at this bar with Michael Rappaport, whose name I never got. But he's in this movie and they're just talking. They're playing pool and they're talking. He's talking basically like, essentially in metaphor, Michael Rappaport's character is like, hey, don't you want to settle down and find someone to make you happy and be this and that? And Hitch is like, no, man, I'd rather have sex with 5 women a night. It's better. It's so much better. Like, and it's like, all right, whatever. It's such a weird thing too, because that's the opposite of that framing.
Yeah.
And then he sees these women come in and he's like all gawking at them.
Another depiction of men who are married, like they're unhappy in their marriage.
And that's what I'm saying. So it's the flip side. The same way we were talking about the women. Yeah. This is how men look at other men. Oh, you're in a relationship, you must be miserable. Oh, I bet you wish you could be with all these other women. And then on the other side, it's, oh, you're not married. You must be miserable to not have a woman who loves you and to do all these things.
So essentially, what I think this movie, and this is why it comes off looking kind of clusterish, is try to present you with every side of this debate, if you will.
Yeah, and that's why
I think that made it. That's why it was just like the execution. Kind of like, we want to make sure you can look at every avenue before we show you how this story turns out.
I would say that the thing to me that would have made this movie better is if it was narrowed down. We didn't need, there were too many, like, the best part of this movie is Kevin James. We should have been focusing on that.
They really expanded this movie more than it needed to be. It didn't even need to be as long as it was.
No disrespect to Eva Mendes, but she shouldn't have been in this movie because we didn't need Hitch's love life. This should have been about Hitch realizing that everything he knows is bullshit because Kevin James shows him otherwise. Do you know what I mean?
That's a fact.
That's exactly what he realizes. We need.
But I think that's what happened. Yeah, but I think that's what happened. But again, we just go back to the execution. I think what they tried to do was, but make it so it would be applicable in his life as well. Thus, we needed that character,
like a side story, kind of
his love interest to make that happen. But it didn't make it believable enough.
It felt like a side story. They were trying to have a side story to the main mission.
Yeah, no, essentially that's exactly what it came across as, and I think that's a mistake. I think it's a mistake. I think this movie could have easily been narrowed down to Hitch being who he is, meeting Kevin James, Albert Brenneman, and going through that. Like that should have been the whole movie, because even the previews kind of frame it like that's what it's going to be. But then we add way too much of the extra, because there's not enough Kevin James in this movie. For my liking, I would say that this movie could have done with a lot more Kevin James.
Honestly, he did. It was the best part. I mean, I liked him and Will Smith together too, but definitely his story should have been pretty much the biggest part of the movie, not Will's character and his relationship with.
But that's why I say they tried to throw that in there because they wanted something that would make they wanted it to be able to be applied to his life, basically. Yeah. And so I'm almost certain.
I appreciate that, the depiction of him having to take his own advice, basically his own, what he advises other men to do with women and be successful at it.
But that's the thing, though, because throughout this movie, he does what he thinks he's really good at, but he botches it. And it's unintentional, of course. So it doesn't even make it look like he's doing anything wrong. It just makes it look like, well, that just didn't go the way it should have. You know what I mean? Because, but the lesson isn't that, he should be taking his own advice. The lesson is that people are not a monolith. Like in general, like you can't base your whole line of work off of a couple of researchers saying 89% of women blah blah, you know what I mean? Like that's bullshit. Where you getting these?
Okay, as you can see, it's still showing the times, like in the magazines where you do those little tests. Is he into you or is he not into you? It's a show of the time. People used to do that stuff commonly.
Those things were designed for stupidity anyway, though, like in general.
But people took it seriously.
They did.
That's do you know what those reminded me of? Those games we used to play when we were little, the MASH games. Mansion, Alex, Shack House.
It's exactly like that.
Essentially in a freaking magazine. Like that is trash. I'm sorry. It did nothing for nobody.
It's the same things nowadays. We minimalize it, but it's done on like the Facebook little game.
Yeah, but we understand the fun behind it. Yeah. A lot of people, when we were little.
Do they though?
Maybe not. Hey, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe people don't.
Some of these people be putting those up like, where will you be in the next 5 years? Like, oh, girl, I'm coming into some money. I'm like, yo, relax.
Share this, or you won't make 10,000 this year.
But yeah, so we can skip ahead because some of these scenes are ultimately.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, let's skip to the part where So if we cut to Albert's story, where he's a financial advisor, basically, and he's in a meeting with the other financial advisors and their client, which is Allegra Cole, big celebrity, and she's really pretty and stuff like that. And she's asking these team of financial advisors, she's like, "Can I use this money?"
Before that, he meets with Alex.
Hitch. But this is when the story plays while he's talking.
Right. But it's important because of what he tells him. He needs to present to her. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, he's pretty much telling her, telling him how to do it. Show that you have a voice. Basically, I'm not sure the exact words he uses, but something along those lines. Stand up for her, blah blah blah.
Well, because we do that thing where he's like, does she even know who you are? He was like, well, I gave her my PIN once. You know what I mean? Like,
he explains that she's a client and he hasn't really made actual social contact with her, but he's pretty much there around her, and he's not really noticed exactly yet. But in this meeting where she's asking if she can do such and such with her money, something that seemed productive, and they're like, "Oh, we'll come back to you in like a month." The head advisor, basically.
Well, yeah, this is weird because I don't know how these things work. I'm not a celebrity. I don't make bajillions of dollars and stuff like that. But I'm also not 100% sure how she's rich.
Right. Well, no.
because
like a big celebrity.
They made a reference
no,
to Daddy's money or something.
And that was the thing, because at first I thought she was supposed to be like a supermodel, but then they do reference that she's an heiress.
Yeah.
So so if that's the case, because like when I first thought it, when I was like, oh, she's a supermodel, why won't they let her do whatever the hell she wants with her money?
Mm-hmm.
Then it realized it's not really her money as much as it is family money. Mm-hmm. So they're in charge of basically making sure she doesn't do anything stupid. That's literally their job, because that's what he said. Because when she asked if she can, she wants to be a partner in her friend Maggie's, whatever it is, this thing is, I don't know what it is.
Business venture.
Yeah, the business fashion quotes. They immediately were like, well, we'll get back to you and things we think are better, and we'll talk to you in about a month. And and then
this is when Albert, he stepped in. Like at first he's kind of like just looking around trying to read how to go about it, and he kind of just bursts out like, no. You should let her do what she wants.
He was like, no, I don't agree. And they were like, agree with what?
He was hesitant. Yeah.
Like everything. And then it was like, all right, you're here now. You're in the shit now, buddy.
He really puffed himself up, like, okay,
he had to do it. He had to do it.
Bro was hopped up on Mountain Dew and Red Bulls, because all of a sudden he was just like, no, you're an adult. You do what you want with your money. We should be listening to you. We should be listening to you. Nobody knows what you got to go through. And it's crazy, because then
and he didn't even have to, but at this point, like, he's like, all right, chill. But he's like, no, I quit.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, he was hopped up on Mountain Dew and Red Bull, because it was just like, yo, the adrenaline is going. You're just letting whatever happens. You're not even thinking. He just responded. And he knew immediately too. And he was just like, all right, just walk out, stay face.
And afterward, he was like, I made a bad decision.
This was the worst case scenario. Absolute worst case scenario. Oh my God, that's why.
Yeah, he took it to the max. He's like, I'm gonna show her. I'm for her.
Yeah,
he showed her all right.
We did forget the part where he kind of forgot his pants. That was like to show, like they always show like big fat guys like they're just like clumsy and dumb. He forgot his pants because he got water on him, and he was trying to dry them and left them on the dryer.
Yeah,
it's just like, okay, we get it. Come on, man. Like, it only happens to big fat guys and Ben Stiller. Like, there's nobody else it happens to. Like even Adam Sandler in all of his movies gets Selma Hayek in every movie he's in. But
she's hot stuff.
Idiot. He's just kind of like, hey, I guess I do some things from time to time, but I'm still super cool. Like it only happens with big fat guys and Ben Stiller. Like that's really how it works.
Ben Stiller.
So yeah, so then we basically like he quits. Allegra comes through and she's like, hey, nobody ever talks to me like that. And it's pretty cool because people are usually afraid of me and I'm a real person too. She's not, you're not a real person. It's like, so I guess
you're not a real person.
I guess even though he quit his job, he's still going to be working for her. It's never explained. She just wanted to talk to him.
How's he getting his money, right?
She was like, I'd like to talk to you later and go through some options about this business thing. And he's like, yeah, cool. But it is, he quit. We don't know if he got hired back. We don't know if he, we don't know anything.
We don't know if they even accepted it as him quitting and they just looked at him and thought he just lost his crap and
we don't know what happened. It's so weird how that
just he went back to his office, and when she went to go see him, Will's character, which is Alex Hitchens, he's behind the door hiding and stuff, giving him tips on what to say, and then hands him a pen to hand to her and stuff like that. So like, did they not tell you come to your office, tell you to get your shit together and leave, or?
And this is why this movie is so dumb to me, because I get it's supposed to be funny. But this is one of those things why I hate White Chicks, because it makes everybody in the movie look stupid. He doesn't hand a pen to Albert. He puts it in his pocket in plain view of old girl. She's not like, where did that black hand come from? Like, you know what I mean? Come on,
she totally doesn't see that.
And then he was like, he puts it in his pocket, taps it down, and then moves his hand slowly, and he's like, "Oh yeah, here's a pin." I'm like, bro, 15 seconds. Come on, man. Come on. That's just so good. Like, it's supposed to be funny. I get it. You're supposed to go, huh, okay, it's a good show. But it's not. It's just dumb. It's just dumb. It's a dumb thing because Will Smith is a good comedic actor. Why would you have him do something this stupid and it's not even funny?
Yeah.
Well, okay.
This needs to be real funny.
Let's not explain the stupidity of the movie. It's just that kind of movie.
No, we have to. We got to talk about all of it. That was
let's get deep into it, okay?
But that's the thing that makes it worse because at the end, when she like starts yelling at him for manipulating her or whatever, she should have seen it coming. You should have seen it coming from the beginning.
Okay, but we're not even that far yet. So
I'm just saying.
So we're at that bar. Well, this is the point where we're at that bar, I believe.
It's like the second bar scene. Yeah.
Yeah, and he sees Sarah, which is Ava's character, sitting by herself, doing whatever single career women do.
She's waiting
in a bar.
She's waiting for her friend. That's the one thing.
Oh, she was waiting for her friend now.
Because but see, Jonna, what you said there was right. They don't frame it that way immediately. They basically make it look like she's just some random hot girl sitting at a bar by herself for the sole purpose. Not even at the bar, mind you. This bar has a lounge that she's taking up all the space in just for her.
Yeah. There's multiple seats around her. She wants to sit there like anybody wants to sit around her with her there.
That's that pretty girl entitlement shit, man. Like, hey, we have a group. Can we chill here? You know what I mean?
At this point, he pretty much just stops some guy. Like some guy walks up to her when he was about to walk up to her.
This guy's funny to me, Chip.
Oh, that was his name, Chip.
Because he says, he goes, they call me Chip. She's like, you can't get him to stop.
Like that's attractive. I don't want a guy named Chip. Sorry.
And he doesn't listen to anything she says.
No, and that was the thing. And that's how he used that because he saw, and then he heard everything she said, and then he used that to, just start his conversation.
At first he asked the bartender, oh, what kind of drink she having? And he talks about an apple martini or whatever. So he grabs two to try and bring to her. But that's when that guy walks up and he has an apple martini and he tries to talk to her in that way, and she clearly points out, that she's clearly not interested, and he keeps trying to go for it. And finally, Will Smith walks up. He intercepts the conversation basically and says, "Hey, honey," pretends to be, her man or whatever. And the guy kind of, after a while, walks away, awkwardly. And so Alex Hitchen takes that as his opportunity to be smooth things over after what just happened. And she's kind of taken into it a little bit, but she's still hesitant because she's that single career woman who's like, I don't need no man.
Right.
Yeah, because they do this weird flirting dance where they're just like, they're basically narrating what's happening, and it's irritating as hell. He was like, on one hand, you're pretty and it's gonna be hard for another guy but to come up to you, but on the other hand, that's not our problem, that's not your problem. And hey, you could
be trying to call out everything that he thinks she might say.
He's analyzing her to death. And he does this the whole movie. He does this the whole movie, and it's irritating. And he's just like, he analyzes her, and then they basically do this flirting thing, like, oh, she's like, well, maybe he could be charming and funny. He was like, and then he's like, it still wouldn't work. And she's like, I know, doesn't it suck when that happens? And I'm like, what are you guys doing here? This is so stupid.
Well, that was real shit. Hey, real stuff. That's the realest. That is the weirdest role play I've ever seen in my life. By the way, them two was unnecessary. Like, it was unnecessary. It wasn't even,
unnecessary. But it's not even a role play because this wasn't established between the two of them.
No, I get it, but it's just like it's a weird thing. Like, why do you do that?
Really
what's the point?
Go ahead, John.
But it wasn't really weird. The point was like to get across, and this is kind of a real thing. A woman trying to challenge a man, like, okay, you really ain't shit, and I'm going to show you by telling you this is what you do, and then him trying to do the same back, like, oh, you're just a woman who likes her own, and this is what you think of men, and kind of. But that's kind of a real thing. They're trying to be the dead giveaway and fight back, but that's what you think of. Eventually, those kind of people do fall in love because they realize, all right, we were both reading each other and what we're trying to do.
But that's the thing. She wasn't necessarily fighting back because he did even though they were flirting, he wasn't coming on to her.
Right.
He was just like, here's your drink. You know, hey, it's not your problem that
but that was his point.
You. And then because she kept trying. Her conversation was essentially trying to get him to engage more with her, and he was just saying stuff. And then he left. That was the manipulation.
Yeah.
He did to get her interested in him, not the other way around.
Yeah.
So that the next time they meet, whatever the circumstances were, she would already have an idea and she'd be intrigued. If nothing else, she was intrigued.
But it worked.
When he walks away and her friend comes in, she goes, "Why are you smiling like an idiot?" Like, she's like, "Oh, hey, I don't know, giggle."
Hey, and that's the scene right there where it really shows manipulation in real life. That was crazy.
Or
it was insanely smart.
Manipulation. She saw that she found somebody to match her intelligence.
Devil's advocate. You don't have to be devil's advocate for this one. You don't have to be devil's advocate for this one. You know that, right?
I get what you're saying, but the problem is he knows that. Like that's the thing. He watched her interaction with Chip, which told him everything he needed to know.
Right.
Nothing he did was accidental or spontaneous. This was planned from the gate because he was going over there to do what Chip just did.
He was.
And when he
realized he did it smoother. He did it smoother.
No, because he didn't do it at all. When he realized that it wouldn't work that way, changed his game plan. Yeah. He manipulated her. That's all it is. It's manipulation.
No, but I think she knew that. But she found somebody to match her in that way. Like, okay, he's a smart guy. He can read people too. She read right through the other guy's little game that he had, whatever. And she knew that Will Smith's character, Alex Hitchens, was coming with game, but he matched her.
I look. Let's move on. All right, because I really want to insult this guy. This one guy coming up in this next scene.
Oh yeah.
So he meets with Lance. This guy has always been a weirdo looking, a weird looking dude to me. This guy, he's from Burn Notice. He's in a lot of stuff. He's in Burn Notice. He's in a
weirdo.
That's what it was.
But he looks like a pug. Am I the only one? His mouth goes up like.
Hey man, hey, don't disrespect pugs like that. Don't disrespect pugs like that. I don't care. Don't disrespect them.
He like what's the one? Beaker? His like mouth goes like this. It doesn't move like ours. His mouth goes out. It's weird. This dude is weird looking. Dude is weird looking. And this is the scene where it's like this scene is to manipulate you, the audience.
Right.
And the reason is to do that is because it's like Lance comes in and everything starts off right. He's like, "Oh, I met this girl, and oh man, I can't even eat, I can't think, and all this other stuff." And
you're
he's,
like,
you're like, "Okay, yeah, that's cute, that's cute." And he's like, "Yeah, I think I need to bang her." And he's like, "Excuse me?" He's like, "Yeah, I need to bang her. Get in there, get one out, clear my head." And he was like, "Yo, that's not what I do." And then that's when you're supposed to be like, "Yeah, Hitch is actually a good guy."
Or you're looking at it. Because now here's the moment where he should be realizing you kind of are like that. It may not, just because you don't, that's not your express desire to say this is what we're doing. It is the same thing. And that's why someone like that can view it that way.
Yeah, it's the unintentional consequences. Like you're
still unscrupulous.
Right. Your goal isn't to be this guy, but that's how people view you. You know what I mean? It's like they're calling you the date doctor. You know what I mean? Like you're helping people.
Hey, didn't that guy say that? He said, "You're the guy that helps guys."
Hold on. You can't just be coming in like hellfire like that, bro. You be on you over there cooking and stuff, bro. We're having a real world conversation. You got to raise your hand like everybody else, my guy. That was insane, bro. That was insane. Go ahead.
Dude, didn't he tell Hitch that he heard he was the guy that helps guys like him? And wasn't that like the first line? guys like him, and he thinks that, that's already in set. That's already in his head.
No, check it out, because it wasn't the first line. It was the line after he already told Hitch he was gonna bang him. He wanted him to help him bang this girl, and he was like, well, isn't that what you do? I heard you help, people like me get laid or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Which is a weird thing about this character, because when Hitch gets up, he grabs this nigga. He's like, power suit, power tie. Yeah, I do what I want and I get what I want. It's like, then why do you need this guy? I don't understand.
Well, because he knows his personality deters women.
Yeah, the dude is like straight vagina repellent. Like, I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Everything about this guy, like, the moment he got up and grabbed Hitch and was like, "This, you see this right here? You feel this? This is what I do. Power suit, power tie, power lunch." I was like, "Yo, shut up! I'll sock you right in the mouth." And then of course Hitch has to do the ninja moves because he's good at everything apparently. Like, what I mean? This is like
leading man.
It never comes up again that he's good at kung fu or whatever the case may be, but he is. He never has to fight anybody else in this movie. Nothing at all. I swear, this guy, it's so weird. It's just a weird scene to have in this movie.
It's Clifton.
Hold on. Oh, I got you. Hold on. And the only reason it's in here is to set up something later that doesn't matter either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so go ahead, Peter.
Yo, what's funny about that is the voice you did just now. You gotta do that one more time. I'm sorry. That shit was funny. I don't remember the voice. The power suit, power tie. You just did that. It was funny because he did do that. Because he did my initial thought was like, what does that mean? Like, that means you can't get socked right now for grabbing me because you just touched me for no apparent reason. Like, what's wrong with you?
Okay, but there's clearly men out there that feel like that kind of alpha male.
We had one as president. What are you talking about?
You guys ever seen American Psycho?
Is that the one with Christian Bale?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see that. It was weird.
There's probably a guy like that.
No, 100%. Here's the thing. Nothing comes from nothing. That's all I will say. Is nothing comes from nothing. A character like that, as exaggerated as he may be, there is a person out there going power suit, power tie, power lunch, power walk, power bar, Powerade. That's all I do, baby. Like, I'm telling you, there's a guy out there right now who only wears things with power on it.
Several guys.
A good handful.
That's what I'm saying. This dude is crazy. Those dudes are crazy. Those dudes are weird because they only drink Powerade. Like, and it's good. It's just weird. But okay, so like I said, once again, this is a useless scene for a movie that should just be about Albert.
You didn't necessarily need it.
You don't need it. That's what I'm saying. It only sets up things because this Lance guy.
Many scenes in this movie.
Okay, no, maybe it set it up to show that Hitch has he has limit. There's a type of guy he knows he won't help out in that way.
But that's what I said.
Because it had several meanings in that. So it was unnecessary, although it did present a couple of different things. That, that he does have a limit, but that he didn't see himself as that guy and looking like that guy, which wasn't true.
So he's got a good his heart's in the right place with helping these guys get these women. And that's what I think that's originally what I was trying to say. Like, but his heart's he's trying to get these guys who can't get women because they're such dorks.
But he's also getting paid, so.
But he wasn't willing to get paid from this douchebag. He was willing to get paid by dorks because they really need help, but not this douchebag. He refused to help him.
We've established.
But he's also getting paid. Like, here's the thing, though, because
it's a job. What do you expect?
Everything you're saying is true, but it's a job he gave himself. Let's be real. He doesn't work for any firm. You know what I mean?
He knows why he's doing what he's doing, though. He was the dorky guy.
This isn't
and he's trying to help other dorky guys.
Though, because he's still taking money, and he has to be. Have you seen this man?
Okay, how else is he supposed to pay his bills?
Get a job, Grouch. Like, what do you want me to do?
This is what he's good at doing because he decided to practice.
Listen, here's the worst part about this. Alex Hitchens.
Hitchens.
So why not go by Alex? Why?
Well, because people probably were like, "Oh, you hitch people together, Hitchens, Hitch."
Nobody should know that. That's the whole purpose of his business. He's Batman doing shit. Like nobody can know he exists. Yeah. But here's the thing. It's very clear that he would make a very good image consultant. He's also got a minor in psychology, apparently. There's all kinds of things he can do. He knows kung fu. Why not be a thing? You know what I mean? Let's come on, man. Alex Hitchens can do everything. He doesn't have to do this. He just knows that there are men desperate enough to pay somebody to literally help
this is obviously his passion, and he wants to get paid off of doing what he loves.
No, he's and you know what? Because
why am I spinning the man and you're not?
Because he's an idiot. But to your point, he does say at the beginning, like he likes helping. He does enjoy helping the guy, the underdog, the little guy who get, you know.
Because who else is going to do it? Who else going to help him?
I will say this. He doesn't explicitly say that his job is to get people together. He gives people the opportunity. And that's really what it is. So in your defense, he isn't like, he isn't just like, hey, I'm gonna make sure that you get to have sex with that girl. Let me make sure you get to have sex.
No, he specifically stresses. He said something about any man can sweep a woman off of her feet.
Given the
any
right
man.
Yo, can we just ask a question real quick? What are you making, bro?
I know, what the hell.
I can talk now.
You just be cooking.
But no. I raised my hand like twice. You just be ignoring me. You're the only one here with glasses on. You're the only one here with glasses.
Well, nobody
goes. It doesn't matter.
What do you cooking?
I raised my hand like this. This is I'm making tacos and eggs.
Wait.
Everything with eggs. Everything you make is with eggs.
Tacos and eggs, like together?
Yeah. I'm putting the eggs inside the tacos.
Put eggs on everything. Make burgers, he makes eggs.
You're not making
like there's no cheese in sight.
Yeah, I'm making the meat and the eggs. Yeah.
What is it, like ground beef with
ground turkey?
Better.
Ground turkey.
Okay.
All right. I mean, it's not bad. Scrambled eggs?
Yeah.
Of course.
And scrambled eggs. What show is that from?
Frasier.
Watching that.
Frasier.
Yeah, Frasier. Johnny didn't know.
No, I know that show, but I've never seen it like that.
Frasier
because all we heard was scrambled eggs.
I'm sorry, I was in the house MD in that time. Sorry.
All right, fair enough.
And psych.
Fair enough.
Psych is good. All right, where are we, John? Where are we?
Okay, so let's go to the part. I'd say we like to go to the part where Alex. Okay, well, Sarah, the editor, she's sitting in her office and she gets a little gift from Alex, and he sends her walkie-talkie. Huh?
Oh, yeah, that was like this walkie-talkie bullshit.
Yeah, and so he must have just gave him to some guy to give him to her because he's not far, obviously, to talk to her.
Those things are pretty powerful.
Are they?
Yeah, they're supposed to go across like extremely long distances.
Like I had some walkie-talkies. They didn't go farther than like.
I mean, you got to think about. Okay, so let me put things into perspective. I'm talking about the buildings, because you're talking about New York. Yes. So I mean, it's not like being here.
Is it or is it Chicago? Because they have that big bull. Which one has the bull out in front of it?
The bull is Chicago. That's not that. There was no big bull.
Yeah, because there's a scene where Eva assaults Lance in front of it. So are they in Chicago or are they in New York?
New York because it's Ellis Island, and that's where.
Okay. Now you're right. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right,
but what I'm saying is the buildings. It's not like so far for a walkie-talkie would even be like right now where I'm at in my room and go outside and go across the street and you can still hear.
He seems like he's around the block.
These are military grade walkie-talkie thingies.
They look like the same ones I had when I was a kid.
Because that's what they want you to believe. They want you to believe
they didn't go far. I tried to go real far. I tried to go down the block. It didn't work. Okay?
That's the thing. Look, this is the whole thing about Hitch, right? This dude not only stalks her, because she did tell him in his defense, she did tell him what she does, but this is stalking 101.
Oh yeah,
he gets the carrier to send the thing, and in the whole office, because she's such a keep all men away from me kind of woman, they're all like,
but she invites this weirdo. Okay, let's be realistic about this real quick.
I don't know.
Do women not like the weirdo sometimes though? Does this not happen a lot often?
But here's what it is though. It's not even just the weirdness because he gets the walkie-talkie. She's like, "What is going on?"
Or just red flags.
He was like, "Hey, Sarah, haha, sorry I couldn't get to you. Don't you hate it when this is the line he says? He's like, don't you hate it when you don't give a man your number and he still finds a way to call you anyway?" I thought this would be less weird.
This says a thing about especially in that era, women do want a man who stalks them.
I don't want nobody stalking
who's
me.
obsessed with them.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Women know. Well, they do and don't.
They don't until they get that.
But he did it so smooth. He did it so smooth. He did it so smooth. He also invited her to go water skiing.
You're go ahead, Malcolm. Go ahead.
Yo, I think for the women, it's persistence. It wasn't a stalking thing for her. The fact that he even took the time to know where she's working at, use the walkie-talkie. It's borderline. Yeah. Oh, no, it's for sure. No, it's not borderline. It's stalking. It's stalking. But what I'm saying is the reason she probably wasn't weirded out is because it's about consistency. She's probably single because most of these dudes don't. They're not saying I wasn't finished with my explanation. Shut up. I think she's probably single because most dudes are consistent with her. So he already didn't give her the play the first time. He didn't really talk to her. He was just like, I'm just gonna come over here and I want you to want me, right? And then he said, and then he gets the walkie-talkie to her job, which is persistent. Yes, it's for sure stalking, but she's not gonna be weirded out by that because she didn't even expect him to be interested. Remember, in the beginning, he kind of brushed her off.
About that.
So what I'm saying is, that walkie-talkie solidified in her head that he actually does like her. It wasn't a stalking for her, but it is stalking. I mean, it's stalking.
No. That's a realistic thing.
You're right.
That's brought up in the movie, and it's something that is also realistic. Okay, a girl does fall for a guy that ignores her initially because, why are you ignoring me? I'm supposed to be the one you want to get at. And then finally he shows her attention after a little bit. That's a real thing.
I was going to say, do you know it has a name?
What is
it? Has a name?
Yeah, it's called a name. It's called negging.
Really?
I think I heard that.
Basically, I found out it's on Always Sunny, but it's a real thing. It's men basically you ignore you. It's the art of basically ignoring.
What your dad was trying to tell them.
But that's what I'm saying. It's an art. It's what they have.
I'm saying that, but that goes back to childhood in school. That's exactly. It's that thing. It's like, I'm gonna act like I don't.
Like you don't care.
Yeah.
It's that because when movies do it though, it's usually especially if it's like a high school movie, it's always some teenager in a leather jacket who's like, yeah, whatever, I don't care.
No nonsense man who doesn't care about the rules.
Like John in Grease. He's like,
yeah. Hey, bro, I hated that movie. I hate that movie.
I'm not here to talk about my hate for Grease either, bro. We gotta let that go.
Yeah,
wow,
I hate it.
I love it.
You will get
what?
And you know what? One day we're gonna do Grease 2 because that movie.
No,
that movie is bad, but it is entertainingly bad. I swear, Shooter McGavin is in this movie.
Oh my god!
Nah, man.
We're doing that one.
Only if we do the first Grease.
No, I'm good.
We have to.
Back to Hitch. Okay, so this is the thing. This is another thing about this scene that kind of weirds me out is he's asking her out and she keeps saying no. And he just keeps saying, well, what about this day? She's like, oh, I'm busy. What about this day? Oh, I have a cat funeral.
But that was her testing him. And he knew she was testing him.
I don't think so. I legitimately.
Yeah, I think he did. I think he did too.
No, here's what I think. Here's my theory on it. Because when he asked her on that first date, she didn't have an excuse. So the dude that she works with, the black dude, the gay dude, was like, he just whispered it. He mouthed, say you're busy. And she was like, oh, I'm busy that day. And he was like, okay, well, what about Saturday? And then the other person was like, you're working? I don't know. And then she says that. And then he was like, Sunday. And she's like, okay, fine, I guess. Because they were like, we're out of excuses. We don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
She was beat down. Okay. This is the manipulation. She was beat down.
But no. Listen, he is like you said, he's a class A analyzer. He analyzed her game and what she was trying to do, and she's trying to push him away first because that is a typical thing for a woman to do. Push a man away, like no, No. They want a man that's persistent. He knows that because he analyzes women and how they react to a man approaching them. So
Yeah,
it makes complete sense.
No, I agree. But I still what I'm saying is I don't think that she was testing him. Is what I'm saying. I think that she just was like, okay, fine. You know what I mean?
Dude, she was sitting there like, I'm busy. She was obviously testing him because she's a pusher of men out of her life.
She was legitimately trying to get out of it, and they were. I think she was initially.
Because that's what a typical single career woman does.
And we lost Malcolm.
It was about that.
Well, I bet those tacos are gonna be good.
I mean, but I think that she was initially because she really didn't want to open up space in her life for that because she knows that can come with too much issues and problems, and she's like, she likes her life.
Will Smith's character, Alex Hitchin, knows that is a thing for a single career woman to do because they're weaving through. That's a single career woman's way of weaving through is deny, and then finally, okay, I'll give in. When you know damn well, you want that man, you want to see what's up with him.
Yeah, we know. We've all seen Lifetime movies, Jonna. We know.
But that's what they were trying to present, basically, that he knows that. He knows she's trying to just push away, like, no, you're not worth my time. But he's proving that, no, I am worth your time, and this is what we're going to do, which is how he presented, sending her the swimsuit or whatever.
Let's move past this part, because this is, like I said, she says Sunday, and the guy's like, oh, you said Sunday, right? Here's a box. And she's like, oh, it's a swimsuit. It's a, what's it called? The
wetsuit, yeah.
And he's like, oh, I don't know what this is. Oh, it's going to be weird. And once again, we go straight from here to the
pier.
To the date. Where is Kevin James? Like, you get what I'm saying?
It's the side story. It's his love life.
He's just saying it would have been more entertaining to have more of that.
Story. This side story is like, okay,
because and I know why they did it. He's the lead.
I get that. And
they're trying to, but
this movie, it's
Kevin James' story alone wouldn't have lasted the whole movie.
I disagree. I think
not just the Kevin James story with his thing, but the interaction with him and Will more.
That's what I'm saying.
True. That was the best part of the movie.
This is it's one of those things that it doesn't, like, a lot of movies do this too, where it's like you have one character who basically is out of the movie for the majority of it, but they're top billed. Kevin James' name is on the poster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he should be in this movie.
He wasn't just some co-star.
True.
Yeah.
It seems like he should have been in more scenes, a lot more.
In the previews, he is in a lot of those clips. Like, it's not just Hitch. You know what I mean? It's Hitch and Albert.
Okay, excuse me. Damn it, Malcolm. Do you really got to eat right now?
This guy, man. Well, so when we get to this date, and she's like, oh, it's too early. Oh my God, I don't want to do this. But she's here. Because
he knew she was genuinely curious about him. He knew she was going to show up.
He did that. We know. That's what we were talking about at that bar scene. He did that on purpose. He knew exactly. He intrigued her just enough. That's all it took.
He knew how to lure her like a sociopath.
This is how these movies start. The next thing you know, he's wearing her skin.
That is a Lifetime movie.
It is, for sure.
Just that alone.
So they go on this date, and this is, I don't like this scene either, because it's like, all right, we're gonna ride the little Sea-Doos, and everything's gonna be cool, and it's got this weird Black Eyed Peas version of "Don't Worry About a Thing." I don't like it. I just don't like it at all. And it's just, so it's like, okay, they're doing this. His Sea-Doo breaks down and he kicks her in the face. And once again, we're all supposed to go like, ha, oh my God, that's so funny. But I'm like,
it wasn't, and I know that it was supposed to be in it. I think potentially it had the ability to be a really funny moment, but something about the way the build-up and the whole thing didn't really connect that well. The timing on it wasn't.
Malcolm said he got work, so he's out. We're gonna have to do this earlier next time.
I guess.
Okay.
But all right, yeah, but you're right. But and see, because the thing is, when you watch it, when I watched that yesterday, I've seen this movie a couple of times, and I'm always like, how did he kick her in the face? Why didn't he just like slide his leg over instead of trying to like swing it over? It was
alpha male swing his leg. He's trying to be alpha. This is how I put my leg over here.
You're stupid.
Come on, do that stuff.
Talking about the movie and how they put it together. It was just
supposed to be funny, and it wasn't, because it's just like she gets kicked in there.
Beyond, it was awkward because I'm talking about execution of the movie, trying to make this a funny scene. They couldn't think of a better way to make that happen, and it just was awkward and stupid.
And the part about this for me is all the physical comedy should be coming from Kevin
James.
And guess who's not in this movie that much? Kevin James. Like, that's my problem, because Will Smith is witty. Will Smith he could tell good jokes. He could do all those things.
But they didn't really present that enough.
They relied on physical comedy way too much for him, and it doesn't make any sense for me, because it's like, all right, so they get to this date, and he takes her to see the book of names of people who came through Ellis Island or whatever, because he Googled her, because that's what a sociopath does. And he found out about her family and had his homeboy, who I'm pretty sure he set up at some point.
Yeah,
you know.
No, they made that obvious.
Yeah, they made
a lot of things in this movie are a little psycho, don't you think?
But he does all this stuff, and what should be a romantic moment or a nice moment, because he's even like, when she's crying, they're looking at each other like, nailed it.
She's like, that was my great grandfather, and she's like seriously sobbing and runs out.
That noise she makes.
That was funnier than
that was funnier. Exactly.
That was funny.
That was pretty good acting she did, because I was like, she's really hurt by this.
And this is the thing, because she is killing that. She is good in this movie. It's just, who could care? Because then this happens, and it's like, it's sad now. You know what I mean? Right. It's like, oh no, this is a family thing. He killed a bunch of people. And he was like, I saw Butcher. I thought it was a title. I was like, so you didn't even Google well.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Because he Googled it, right? A better Google search would have shown you exactly what that was.
Or maybe he just like, I get the gist, and he didn't even read the whole thing.
I thought it was the Butcher.
Yeah, he said, when I saw Butcher, because that's what I'm saying. He looked it up, and when he saw Butcher, and that's the thing, because now that I'm saying it out loud, what I think happened is he only looked up the family name, and he didn't look up anything else. Next to and this is done because I saw that in the book. Next to his name in the book, it says Butcher, and that's weird that you would put that. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. I don't know how they were doing things back then. Like, oh, so you killed a bunch of people, huh? Butcher. Wow. Like, what? No, I don't understand. Yeah. I don't understand how that works. Somebody's gonna
finally, God, because that whole thing was agonizing. Except for that part was pretty funny. But this is where we finally.
Oh my God! Finally,
get back to Kevin James. Good grief, that took a long time.
Wait, no, because we got to get back to this, because she does the day after she has this. She talks to her friend again, who's kind of upset about. They go there that night, I guess, and they're eating cottage cheese or something. I don't know. They're at some weird restaurant that serves cottage cheese, and it's gross. And she's trying not to tell her that she was on this date with this guy, because she was like, didn't you say this and didn't you say that and all this other stuff, and it's all right. So that's done. I just had to say it because I had to put it in my notes that they were eating what I thought was cottage cheese. I don't know a restaurant that's just like, here, you want some sour milk? Got it.
Who knows? Yeah,
Bro, New York place, man.
But yeah,
so then now we finally, and I put that in my notes. It said Hitch and Albert finally.
No, seriously. Good grief. It's way too long. And the spaces were way too long. That should have been like boom. But you know what I mean?
If you're gonna do this movie that way, it has to be scene for scene. It can't be scene, another scene, scene, and then we get back to Albert. I'm just like, damn, what has Albert been doing this whole time?
Yeah,
exactly.
So it was kind of like they were more of the side. Albert's story was more of the side story. It almost seemed like.
No, it was. It clearly was. But it shouldn't have been. That's what I'm saying. His story, him and Hitch, his interaction should have been the main attraction of this entire movie.
Exactly.
Not Hitch trying to.
That is what they presented in the trailer.
The side stories are the women that in that part of the interaction, but they should have been his interaction with him, trying to show him all this. Should have stayed as the focal point.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
thank God We made it back.
We finally got back. Oh, we're here.
And this is when, this is when he is going to tell them about the dance.
This is great Kevin James stuff because he was like,
oh my gosh,
he's telling them the things. Hey, don't put your hand too high, don't put your hand too low. This is where you want your hand to be. Remember, tonight is not about you. You ask questions about Maggie, and I do like this scene because this is good Kevin James when she meets the friends, and he's like, "It's disgusting. Ew, it's disgusting." He was like, "Don't try."
And he calls him eggnog. Yeah, what's your name? Eggnog.
He called him eggnog. I loved it. He's like, "Get your name again, eggnog." He's like, "Egan." He was like, "What do you think about the Jets' new design?"
Oh, it's disgusting, right?
Let's think about it. This is good. Kevin James is so good at just like vamping, like I like it. I know a lot of people are like don't really like it, but I like Kevin James when he just gets to do.
I
like him when he just gets to be Kevin James, like you know what I mean. And this scene is good, but then this is when you talk about the dancing. Once again, this is a great scene because this is what you need. We needed more of this. It's like, hey, dancing on. I don't have hey. You don't have to worry about me and dancing. I got this covered.
It's so funny because intermittently, it's him teaching him how to dance before they go to the little club or whatever. And he dances. He's like, he's confident and stuff. And Alex Hitchens, he's like, okay, show me how you dance because I'm a little skeptical, basically. And he shows them, and he's doing all these wild. What do you say? I call this that.
Throw it away.
And he stops. He's like, don't ever do that again.
But that's the thing. Like, so when Hitch is telling them what he should be doing, they're cutting back to like between the two scenes.
He's like, just do this. Keep it in here. Keep it in here. And he does that. He does that in the scene where they're dancing in the, when the music's on and stuff like that. And then as soon as the Langford turns around, he starts doing it. He was like, you know what? I know how to do this.
And this is what I'm saying right here too. This movie, it shouldn't be the end of the movie where Hitch is like, oh my God, I'm learning the lesson. He should be piecing it piece by piece when every time he tries to help Albert do something. Like the scene, this is the first time where Albert essentially goes rogue, right? So this is the first scene where he comes back, so how'd it go? And he tells him, like, oh man, like this is what happened. And he was like, so when you were dead, he was like, yeah, I danced like an idiot. He was like, you did? Oh my God. He was like, don't worry, man. She was like totally into it. Boom. Like he's like, that doesn't make sense, but okay, file that away for later. You know what I mean? Otherwise, the progression just sounds like
he had not. Yeah, like he should have. You should have saw some indication of epiphany come.
Yeah,
even if it's very slight.
Because until the end of the movie, he doesn't even know that any of this stuff happened, which means he's not even corresponding with the guy he's coaching. Like, what do you? Huh?
Yeah.
Because
he's too busy with his own other story.
You picked the wrong time, dude. You need to focus on your job.
Yeah, right.
Focus on your career. How about that?
So heading on to the next scene. Is it the next scene? Where Sarah sees a newspaper or whatever.
No, not yet, because this is the Hitch Albert teaching him how to kiss scene, which is another one that's like, oh, this is supposed to be funny because they're two dudes and they're kissing. Oh my God. Like, it's like, okay, man, come on.
That was after this scene.
No, this is it because I have it because in my notes it goes the Hitch right after that date. Hitch and them, he's saying, how's it going? He was like, oh, it was great. It's going great. It's going great.
No. But first they have a scene at the newsstand or whatever, seeing stuff. And then it cuts to the kissing scene. I know because I just watched it.
I did too.
I literally just watched this morning. Right before it. So anyway, so she goes to see. So it shows what them having a night out. Like another newspaper got a hold of the information that this guy Albert, what's his name?
Brenneman.
Albert Brenneman.
Albert Brenneman, and they're like, "Who is this guy?" And their boss is all mad at her, like, "Why you ain't got this info yet?" And she didn't even know she was supposed to be at that event.
I have that because she finds that's how she gets it. She finds out because she sees that newspaper after this kissing scene, and then
the kissing scene was right after. I knew it because I just literally watched it.
Let's not get stuck on when the kissing scene happened.
Okay, so anyways, on to the kissing scene. After her boss is mad at her, they're in front of his stoop or whatever, and Alex Hitchens is explaining to Albert, basically, this is what you want to do. She's going to fiddle with her keys a little bit,
It's so stupid.
And that's pretty much her sign. She's trying to slow down for you to make your move or whatever. And he's explaining, you come in 90%. And so they're kind of practicing. He's telling, come in 90%. And he comes in, he's like, nah, I'm not feeling it. Nah, I'm not feeling it. And he comes in, he's like, I'm close. I'm like, I'm 90%. He's like, no, I just don't feel it's real. And then all of a sudden he goes in all the way. He's like, I didn't tell you to kiss me.
Well, no,
And again,
and that was the thing. He wasn't even upset about that part. He was like, I said 90. Didn't tell me to go all the way. He was like, you know what I mean? He's like, you over eager. He's still in character, this weirdo. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, super weirdo. And
like he's offended.
Again, it definitely, they wanted it to be funnier than it actually was.
And that's what I'm saying. And this is the dumbest
really
kind of funny.
Funny.
I've never found that, like, that thing that they do in a lot of movies, humors where they're like, oh, look at that, it's two guys doing a thing.
I don't even think that. It's like, it's not even that, just the two guys. It's the fact that it's a miscommunication that causes something. But that is a tiny thing that will get you, where, to me,
it's supposed to be goofy.
The whole time you can see that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's telegraphed.
Yeah, make it so you don't see that that's going to happen. But they made it obvious. And so that took away a lot of the funniness of it. It's like,
and that's the thing too, because like the whole time, like even while he's doing this scene when he's like, I don't feel it. You're supposed to be coaching him. He's just like, so do I lean in more, I guess? Or do I lean in more, I guess?
What are you trying to say? Yeah, what am I supposed to be doing?
It's like, it doesn't go anywhere. It's just
it looks like in this movie, they obviously took every opportunity to get the cheapest laugh.
And this is the way I would have done this scene, right? You could leave this entire scene out, right? You just have him kind of, while they're walking, he's explaining the importance of that third date kiss. And while we're doing that, we're cutting back to Kevin James and Allegra, all getting ready to have that first kiss. And then everything's not going the way he says. And it gets to be hilarious. That's how that should have went. It would have made more sense than him trying to explain the whole thing and be like, all right, now get out there and execute, kids.
That was another one of those scenes.
But they don't even show that yet. Now they cut back to Alex's life, his love life with Sarah, and she invites him because she finds out like he bought the tickets to go to that little club that they went to, basically.
Which is weird. Why would you do that if she was going to the club for her friend Maggie anyway?
I don't know.
By the way, guys, okay, well, in case we all forgot, Maggie's a dude. Oh my God, so funny.
That was the surprise.
He was like, oh, my name is Magnus. They call me Maggie for sure. I was like,
as I told Jonna this earlier, I said, you think she wouldn't have mentioned that? It's my best friend named Maggie, but he's a guy, but his name is Magnus. We just call him Maggie for short.
And it's weird because
that would have come up.
A lot of movies do that too, where instead of like using the pronouns or the person they are, they say, oh, they are my friend, and they're very formal. Yeah, my friend Maggie. Oh yeah, what does Maggie do? Oh, Maggie does, you know what I mean? Like, she would have been like, oh, he's a designer.
Right. It totally would have been an identifier, he or she, whatever.
And once again, that was supposed to be the joke. What joke? And the only way that thing is saved is because Kevin James is good. Where the girl comes to and he's like, oh, Maggie. And he was like, no, that's not Maggie. That's Maggie. And he's like, ooh, you got soft hands. And then he shakes Maggie's hands like, oh, so do you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's funny.
Well, they tried to get that cheap laugh.
Yeah, but and that's what I'm saying, because it's like, oh, isn't it crazy?
Well, they tried to get the cheap laugh with the whole Maggie thing, but the laughs, the legit laughs, came from Kevin James and how he was, interacting and everything. And that worked.
Yeah, because he was like, oh, I love this tie, this suit, everything's just put together. Like, this Kevin James being Kevin James.
It was because what he's trying to do is what he was told to do, and he's slightly overdoing it, but it works.
Mm-hmm. But that's the thing. We don't even realize that he's overdoing it because we're not introduced to any of this.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we just know that he's doing what he's asked to do and he's being himself. We don't know that that's him trying to, like, do the best he can kind of deal. We don't realize that because we don't get the scenes where he's like, no, don't do it like that. No, don't. You know what I mean? Where he's coaching
him. Or he's doing his best impression of what a man should do in this situation. Yeah. But
okay,
cut to
no notes now.
Cut to Sarah. She invited Will Smith when she found out he was the one who purchased those tickets or whatever.
Now she's trying to catch him.
And so now she just got her boss is sitting right behind her, and she calls him. She's like, "Oh, let me invite you to this or whatever it is." She didn't even really explain. But and he's like, "Okay," and and after the boss, I was like, "This seems more like a date or whatever." And we don't even realize it really is going to happen. And so we cut to them. She's waiting on Alex to pulls up in his taxi or whatever. And they go in, and it's like this warehouse. This is weird, like a warehouse place.
Brings him a shirt because another not as funny moment that was supposed to be funny. The shirt got ripped off of him.
Yeah, not that big of a deal.
Clumsy, get it?
Yeah, until they pull up. They pull up to this what she called a food rave, I think.
Yeah, that's what she said, food rave. And I was like, I know what a rave is.
That don't look like a rave.
This is not raving at all.
If you're gonna say food rave, I think of something completely different.
And the only funny moment here is the boss, where he's like, it's weird that we're paying them to let us cook. And I'm like, yeah, that is pretty funny. Because I would have said the same thing.
It's a little weird, don't you think? But it looks kind of cool. It's like a whole cooking session. They're all cooking together. That actually looks kind of fun.
This is the scene too where Hitch gets to show off his minor in psychology, because they're talking and she's like, oh, they're basically trying to get this scoop out of him that he knows Allegra Cole and Albert.
Well, might we add, you said psychology. The boss wives mentioned that she's a psychologist. Yeah, but they're talking, they're chopping it up and stuff like that. And they're trying to get information out of him, spilling the tea on what's going on with Allegra Cole and this guy who they assumed was her bodyguard.
Well, I don't even know what the assumption was. They
thought that's what he said. He's like, we thought he was. Yeah, they were like, we thought he was the bodyguard or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Weird.
So they're trying to get information, and he's trying to keep it cool. He's like, "Oh, that's just my financial advisor, my consultant or whatever."
First, act like you didn't know him at all.
Well, no, because they asked him two separate questions. It was like, "How do you know Allegra Cole?" He was like, "I don't." And he was like, "Well, how do you know Albert Brenneman?" And then he's like, "All right, I can't get out of this one." Yeah, he's just my financial advisor, which isn't 100% false, but it's also not 100% true. So it's a good one. Right. But then it's like, yeah, and then the wife, she brings it up. She's like, I'm impressed. Usually people can't wait to gossip around these two, and you won't say anything. And he was like, well, I don't know what to say. And then I don't know what happens. And then he starts doing the scratching thing. And I know this all too well. And he was like, she was like, oh, I see what's happening, which is a very weird way to set up what she was gonna say. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's trying to be obvious, like trying to be like, oh, there's gonna be a giveaway. They know something, but surprise.
Because the thing is, and that's another thing. It's like, it wasn't funny. Like, you know what I mean? We see him doing all this stuff. She could have been like, do you have food allergies? He could have been like, no, I'm fine, and kept trying to go. You know what I mean? That would have been something different than her being like, because she's a psychologist, and him immediately putting his psych minor to he was like, oh, I see. You think that I'm stressed out and trying to make a good impression and blah, blah. Like, he analyzes himself through her lens, analyzing himself.
That was like, yeah.
It's so.
Well, they try to do a classic, little mislead, things like that.
I think it would have been funnier if she would have just said like, do you have food allergies from the beginning? And him being like, no, I'm fine, and kept going until he got like, you could start to see him swell. Then it would have been like, no, you legitimately have, you know what I mean? That to me.
But this part was pretty funny because I love the way they made him look. The prosthetics and stuff look really good.
It's like that episode of Martin when he got beat up by a vendor.
Yes, I was just thinking about that.
But it is. But and then I hate this scene too. It's funny because they're like, oh, we got to get you to a Rite Aid or CVS or wherever they are. I don't know what it is in New York. And they go, and he's like, oh, we got to get the Benadryl. And she finds it, and then she's like, what, a lot of Benadryl? I was like, that's not how that works. That's not how that works at all.
No, he's literally like drinking out of it.
You will die. It's gonna be worse. You know what I mean? Like anyway, so they do this thing, and then he looks, and then there's this other thing that movies do a lot of too, where he looks and he sees what he looks like, and he starts knocking all the other stuff over. Where he's just like,
okay, let me say, okay, as a person who's probably not yet diagnosed with OCD, that really irked me.
You don't need to.
You gotta make the whole place a mess.
A doctor can see you from a mile away and be like, OCD, she got it.
All you have to do was look.
He's like
you doing all this tossing shit around.
You don't got to sit down. We don't got to do nothing. OCD, definitely. But it's like, but it is dumb because he takes it all. Then he starts drinking it right out of the bottle. It's like, come on. It's like, that's not how Benadryl works. It's not just going to work because you just put it in your mouth. You got to give it time, dummy. Oh my God. So yeah, he has a straw. He has a straw and a bottle of Benadryl. And she's like, oh, I bet you I can get anything out of you. And he was like, she doesn't even, and the problem with this scene is she doesn't ask the right questions. She's just like, how do you know Albert and Allegra? And he was like, he loves her so much. Oh my God. But she wouldn't even know he existed. Oh my gosh. And like, okay. And that's what she took away from that. And that's what
presenting him as drunk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which it doesn't really do that. It makes you sleepy.
Yeah.
Not drunk.
It's like,
and okay, let me just say this.
And even if that is,
I would say in general, in movies, some of these things can work, right? You know, these over the top, very farce-like moments that you can build into something that can be funny. But this movie just did not execute it well. That's all it was. It's not that couldn't have been funny. Benadryl and it makes you drunk. It could have been. But
here's the thing though. If you're gonna do it, you have to go all the way. This was so like safe because it's just her walking with him to, I guess, calm him down or whatever. But that's it. They're walking in circles because she's just like, all right, let's just keep going. Just
she eventually walks him home.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. The whole thing is her walking, just like this scene should have been him. If you're gonna do it, he's got to be bothering people. He's got to be in the street, kind of. You know what I mean?
Got to be over the top.
You got to be over the top. Go all the way.
Look, I'll tell you, and I just, thinking about movies just off the top of my head. When you go there, if you're gonna go ridiculous, you gotta go girls trip.
Yeah, they go all the way.
They go
all the way. Excuse me.
Oh. You're excused.
No, but girls trip took it all the way, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, but and that's the thing. Why I say 100%, because if you're gonna do it, do it.
Yes, don't
tread around it. Don't tread.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying.
Take away the funny elements.
And that's what I'm saying. I imagine that if this movie had more, I know it's just Dad right in the background. What's up, Dad? See, this guy right here would have been a much better candidate for this movie because he would have done it. He would have went all the way.
Definitely.
But if you're gonna do it, you have to do it all the way. And that's why I think this movie would have been better if it was more Kevin James, Will Smith interaction. Because I imagine it, let's say that instead of him finding out he was allergic immediately, it didn't kick in till later when he went to go see Albert. Now it's shenanigans between the two of them trying to get, you know what I mean? Trying to get him, hey, get out the street.
I would call this is a movie of missed opportunities.
So many.
Because they have the combo of these two, God, could have been like over the top.
Yeah, for real. And this leads us to the next scene where they're at her house and he just tells her kind of like she says she had a traumatic experience. He tells her he also had a traumatic experience. And then they're like, oh, I guess
just walked in when you walked out.
Oh, it was funny. Yeah, Dad did walk in.
He did a cameo.
I heard him. I was like, what the heck is he doing?
But that's what I'm saying. Like this, like they're at her house. They're basically like telling each other their stories, and it doesn't matter. Amira, golly, man.
So our subtitle under Family Reelz, dysfunctional.
I'm telling you.
We're clearly dysfunctional.
But it's okay. But yeah, go ahead. Yeah, it's so much that
not a
doesn't
good
matter at
scene.
this point.
This is the thing. This is supposed to be the
Oh
big
God.
emotional scene where they finally connect, and it doesn't matter because it's so weak.
And I don't feel it. I don't believe it.
Weak. I don't believe it at all. They're just
I
like,
don't believe it.
He's apparently drunk off Benadryl, and she's still trying to get some story out of him for some God, who cares? At this point, no one cares. No one is as invested in this relationship. We all care. The one we care about is the one we're not seeing. And that's the part that bothers me.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
So yeah, then they have their kiss and it's fine.
It's whatever.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't care. I don't.
No.
And then she meets her friend and she's all happy and her friend is not. So they're up, like, she finds out that she did go to that Lance, the dude she was dating, got what she wanted or got what he wanted, and then he dumped her. And he was like, do you know what he said? So date doctor my ass. And then she's like, oh, he is real. And I'm like,
oh, right, because it was that guy. That's right. The douchebag.
Yeah. It's like, duh.
Which was why the only reason to have that scene in the first place. So they can show that it was the douchebag that she was dating. Yeah.
Pretty much. And that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, so then that goes down.
It just got worse. It got worse and predictable.
And it got way predictable because right after this is they're about to have their third date, right? But before that, they find out who the date doctor is. They go to the basketball game with Albert and Allegra, and it's cute. More of this movie would have been fine. He's teaching her how to whistle. He's kind of spilling stuff on himself, and it's fine.
Right.
And then she finds out that Hitch is the date doctor because they set him up essentially.
Right.
They set him up, and then she goes to his house to act an ass. Like that. That's the part that bothered me the most.
Okay, remind me who went.
Sarah goes to Hitch's house to act an ass.
Right.
Yeah.
He's gonna cook for her, and she goes and she's like, she's just being weird. She's drinking wine out the bottle. She's messing with the light switches, and then she's like, "So how does it work?" And he was like, "No, so you just manipulate women and blah blah blah." And he's like, "All right, well, cat's out of the bag, I guess." And he just starts telling her, like, yeah, the fact is she would have never noticed Albert if I hadn't have done something, blah, 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 because no one cares. None of this is important. Yeah. And that's how then she leaves. They throw fruits and vegetables at each other and she leaves.
Right.
And
yeah, that's stupid.
Honestly, there's a lot of things in this movie completely unnecessary.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, because then I like we're getting closer to the end now. We go to the speed dating scene, and this is stupid because he goes there and he's just like, "Hey, I've been trying to call you. I've been trying to talk to you. This is weird, stalker shit." Just like we were talking about.
Yeah.
It goes right back to it, man.
Yeah, it doesn't get better. It doesn't get better, which is why we don't believe it.
And then I guess that's more. The important part about it is we don't believe it because it doesn't get better. And the bigger problem with it too is that he goes to this thing and they're like, everybody finds out that he's a date doctor, and her friend gets mad because he was like, you told Lance to sleep with me and blah, blah, blah. And he doesn't immediately say anything about that, but he's just like, okay, I see. This is what's happening. And then, everybody's saying stuff. And then on the way out, just because this had to be said, because we set it up 16 times, he was like, I refuse to work with Lance because he was a pig. And it's because of guys like him I even have a job or had a job. And that's it. And while this is going on, Allegra apparently breaks up with Kevin James, which we don't see. We just kind of hear about it.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And that's irritating too. Because we should be seeing these things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It seemed like things were placed wherever they wanted them to be placed.
Yeah, essentially, yeah, just like
it was just they were moving it, but they like very clumsily putting things in along throughout the movie to get it to the end where
exactly.
all things come together, if you will.
And I think that's weird because like this movie spends so much time on this other stuff that it just barrels to the end. Like it's like a straight bull. And we get to the part. Albert talks to Hitch. He calls him a coward. And then he's like, I'm gonna go get my girl back. And Hitch is like, all right. He gets there first. Like, you know what I mean? He gets to Allegra first, and he's like, hey, Albert loves you. And she was like, no, you manipulated. But not even just that. He apparently called her for a meeting. Like, that's the whole point. I don't understand. Because he's like, thanks for meeting me. I'm like, what? This makes sense. But he does. We barrel to the end here. He's like, you did all that research about me? And he was like, well, yeah. And then she was like, how did you know I didn't know how to whistle? And he's like, the fuck, can't nobody research?
Right.
He was like, no, I didn't know nothing about that. He was like, you know that I went to boarding school and I never learned how to dance and I was awkward and you told him to dance like an idiot. He was like, what? No, I didn't do any of that. He was like, he pulled out his inhaler before he kissed. He was like, he did that? Oh my God. And I'm like, she was like, so what did you do? And he was like, nothing. I was like, well, I think you owe Albert his money back.
Right. He needs a full refund.
Because it's like this, we shouldn't have to wait till this part to be like, oh, he learned the lesson. This should have been happening throughout the movie.
That is actually when it's happening. It's not that we're not even catching it. He wasn't learning it this whole time.
And that's the part that's stupid. Because
what is the lesson in this movie?
There is no lesson. I don't know.
Don't be a douchebag.
Stop stalking people, or maybe if you are a date consultant,
for the women,
which is weird though.
Be careful who you get involved with.
Hey, that's probably the biggest message.
Greater lesson.
Be careful who don't get manipulated. Be careful who you get involved with. Know who you get involved with.
I mean, but here's the thing, right? So we get to the end of this movie. He finds Sarah. She's got some dude in her house. So we're supposed to be like, oh, she's already moved on. And she drives maybe 2 steps, and she hits him he's on top of the car. And that 2 steps where they drove is where the guy in the car was meeting his wife, who she knew, and all this other stuff. And she's like, hey, they flirt a little bit. And it's just it's so corny.
So,
and then,
the word
in the movie, basically.
Yeah.
That's it until the wedding.
Yeah, and even still, it's kind of like, oh, he does another thing. But I'm like, okay, I still don't get this whole thing. Like, he's like, basic principle. There are no basic principles.
I don't. It's like, okay,
that was supposed to be the quote unquote moral.
So let's think about this. Let's see. Let's go over what we learned from this movie. Anything you guys think you took away from this movie?
Yeah, I never thought a movie could make me hate Will Smith. And it kind of did for a minute. So that's what I took away. Stop making him do stuff like this. This is dumb. And he's a producer, so he's dumb on his own part. Like,
I know, you read this script.
Yeah, he's funny enough. I think he could have had more creative input that would have helped this movie.
I felt like this movie was supposed to be a lot bigger than it actually was. It was like, oh, Eva Mendes is hot. Oh, Kevin James is like one of his first movies. And
it had the intentions of making it a big breakout movie, basically.
Yeah, and it just, I don't know anybody who's like, hey, let's watch Hitch, like, ever.
Well, I think it definitely falls short. Watching it now, it definitely didn't age well.
No, definitely.
It fell short.
This movie definitely couldn't be made in 2022.
Yeah.
But if the movie would have been better, that wouldn't have been as pronounced.
It would have been.
But it worked for the time that it came out.
I don't even think it did, though. That's the thing.
No, it didn't. I didn't
It
like
was
it the first time
enough
I
for the
saw it.
time that it came out.
I didn't like it the first time I saw it. I was
this
like,
movie is
it bothered me.
You know why people liked it?
Because
it integrated. Once again, it was another film that integrated Black people with just a big movie that's put out there in theaters.
But this isn't the first time. That's like every movie Will Smith has ever
I'm not,
made.
but I'm saying like it gave that representation of think about it. Will Smith. Everybody loves Will Smith.
That's what I'm saying. This isn't the first time this has happened with Will Smith.
No, it's not the first time. No, I'm not saying it's the first time. But I'm saying like people love Will Smith. Black people, white people. You know, that's pretty much the main attraction. Even Kevin James wasn't even going to be the main attraction, and I think they were going for the funny scenes that they had.
It feels like with Kevin James that
Which
a lot of
why they did the trailers that showed that more. And now I'm mad even more so because you tried to mislead everybody.
Yeah, it was supposed to be funny more than it was supposed to be romantic.
All right, so let's go ahead. This movie's over. Let's end this.
Yeah.
So
okay, what's your score? What 1 out of 10? What do you give this movie?
I'm giving it a 0, man. I just don't care for it at all. Like it's not. I'm not going back to watch it. And this is the thing, because Kevin James is good in this movie, but he's not in it enough for me to care. So yeah, a big fat freaking 0.
Mom.
Well, because Kevin James is in it, and there are some moments that I can get a slight enjoyment, I'm gonna give it like a 2.
I agree. I'm with you there, like a 2-ish. Yeah, really, this is the bottom of the totem pole, Tracy. I think I've seen worse.
No, I've seen worse for sure, and they all get 0s too. But like,
he's equal opportunity 0.
Yeah, but the reason it's getting 0 is just because it's not enjoyable. Like it's just, even with the Kevin James scenes that are pretty funny, they don't fit in this movie at all because they don't do anything to make it fit. It's just like, okay, that came out of nowhere.
It's a movie of just random scenes, very thinly connected.
Yeah,
it definitely can lull you to sleep. And that's why I went to sleep last night trying to watch it.
I felt like whoever wrote this was right like 6 different screenplays and was just like, let's put them all together.
Yeah, it seemed like a lot going on for nothing to be going on.
Yeah. So since Malcolm is not here, oh man, I forgot to put final thoughts up. Oh, there it is. There it is. But since Malcolm is not here, he picks the next movie, and it's called Our Family Wedding. I've never seen this movie, but he said it has Carlos Mencia, which means I know I'm gonna hate it.
Oh gosh! Wait, like he's one of the main characters, or he's just
him and Forrest Whitaker in a school situation.
Oh,
so I don't know, man. I just don't care about Carlos Mencia.
But thank God he's not. I mean, you got some things. I'm like, did I see that? I can't remember.
I never saw it. I've never seen it. I knew if I've ever seen a movie with Carlos Mencia, it's been by accident. I don't know. I don't even know who Lance Gross is.
From The Pains.
Yeah, I still don't know what you're talking about.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway. All right. So that's been it's been Family Reelz.
Yeah. So that movie's been ripped apart.
Yeah. So next time we'll get to rip apart Our Family Wedding.
All right.
Exactly.
You on it.
All right, guys.
You got an outro.
No, I don't have a cool outro. I'm just gonna say.
Why does this always happen?
No, I have one. I have one.
What?
I just thought of it.
What?
It's been real.
Huh? That's not at all.
No, I earned this.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Family out.
No, it's been real.
Definitely not that, Mom.
It's been real. It's been real.
It's going to take us a little bit, okay? Let's speak this over the next week.
It's been real.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.